Again, Ron started this gangster shit in Austin, Texas, and it's gonna be fucking written about in history books. People are making fucking YouTube documentaries, from what I understand, about Austin every day. So that's a thing. We're having a blast here. Ron White, and then Joe Rogan.
Hinchcliffe, known for the long-running live podcast and show Kill Tony, co-hosted with Brian Redband, addressed what he described as Rogansphere haters near the end of a recent episode featuring guest Ron White. He called out creators on YouTube producing documentaries about the purported crumbling of the Rogansphere and people leaving the tribe. His tone was combative. He accused such critics of misunderstanding the dynamic, profiteering off speculation, and failing to grasp the internal culture and loyalty of the network of comedians and podcasts orbiting Joe Rogan and his extended ecosystem. Hinchcliffe argued that the narrative of everyone's leaving is overblown, saying the Rogansphere is stronger than critics assume and that documentaries made by outsiders misportray genuine connections as collapses. He suggested that many critics are motivated by resentment or by seeking clicks rather than by a true understanding of the community. At the same time, he acknowledged that problems exist. He admitted some comedians feel tension, platform shift, and fans drift, but insisted this is not a collapse, just evolution. Over the years, many comics connected to or adjacent to Rogan's orbit have offered commentary on the tensions within that space. Some have noted how rapid growth, podcast crossover, and hybrid comedy formats create both opportunity and strain.
When you in a place like Austin, you don't realize it, but you are in a sea of people trying to make it, especially in a time where people get rich and famous off of the most minute things, the lowest form of effort. And sometimes it feels like Austin is a cesspool of narcissistic people who have no self-awareness. It's weird to go into a place where nobody gives a fuck about who you are, even on a human level, until they see that you good at the one thing everybody moved out there to do. That's weird. It's weird as hell. There's a lot of weirdo shit that went down in Austin in the comedy scene. I'll explain a little bit later.
There was a whole lot of gatekeeping on how to get to certain things. When it came time for like life-changing opportunities, that information was rarely being given. I'm not the networking type of dude. I do the one thing I've always been doing since I started, which was get on stage and put everything on stage, because that's what we're here for. That's what I was understanding. There's a lot of people that don't know when to stop trying to be a clown, trying to out funny each other, and don't none of it be funny. I don't want to hear 50 white guys come up to me and almost say the N-word. It's like 50 white people come to you and say, "What's up, my ninja?" I don't want to hear that shit. Just almost saying the N-word or trying to say it.
Comics have lamented that long-form stand-up and podcast culture don't always mix cleanly, or that newer performers drawn by online metrics sometimes misunderstand the stagecraft. Others have talked about audience fragmentation. Fans who follow someone for podcast content may not follow them to live shows, and about the pressure of belonging to a sphere where loyalty can become expectation.
One user asks, why haven't you been on the Joe Rogan Experience? Well, there could be two reasons for that. One, which is probably most likely, is that I'm not popular, famous, and influential enough to be on JRE. Two, could be related to a little green room spat that I had with Mr. Joe Rogan at his comedy club in Austin, Texas. I was in Austin doing a couple different podcasts. The first podcast was Lex Friedman. And then the following day after that, I did the Matt and Shane Secret podcast. And unfortunately, Matt was out of town, but the homie Lemaire Lee, shout out to my boy, was there replacing Matt for that day. So that night after the podcast, Shane had a set at the Mothership Comedy Club. So he invited me, and in between sets, I'm chilling at the bar downstairs, and I'm getting like lightweight blown up by fans, which is fine. You know, I love fans. It was chill, but I was kind of like in a more relaxed headspace. I wanted to just doze off, you know, listen to comedy, chill. And so I told Lemaire, I'm like, yo, can I go upstairs to the green room? I'm trying to, kick back and, lay low for a bit. He's like, man, I could take you there, but just so you know, Joe Rogan's a bit territorial about that green room. Like, so it's at your own risk. And I'm like, dude, no way, it's going to be fine. Joe Rogan's reacted to like 7 of my videos because Jamie always plays them. So I'm like, it's going to be chill. So me and Lemaire take the elevator up to the secret green room at the mothership. There's 5 comedians in there, all in their mid-20s. Everybody recognizes me except for Joe Rogan. So everybody's dapping me up. Lemaire says, hey, Joe, it's my homie Andrew. Shake Joe Rogan's hand. I put some popcorn in the microwave, which I felt like was establishing myself as a member of the green room. And then I turn around and I see Joe Rogan like yelling at the security guard. And he's yelling, who let this fucking journalist in here? Kick him the fuck out. I can hear Joe saying this. I guess somebody told him that I was like a journalist, so he maybe thought that I was a Daily Beast reporter that had snaked my way into his safe space to ask him about ivermectin, which is a valid concern. So before I could even get kicked out, I was like, Lemaire, I gotta get out of here. And I walked down the stairs and went back into general population.
On the r/Joe Rogan subreddit, one post titled, Am I allowed to talk about being disappointed in Joe? Especially if I have real-world interactions with him and the ramifications of his actions, demonstrates how fans and insiders alike feel conflicted about the Rogansphere. This post underlines that even within fandom, questions of loyalty, accountability, and disillusionment surface. Some commenters argue they feel part of a tribe, yet also feel silenced or unsure if critique is permitted. Others respond that Rogan's show built a loyal culture, but that with size comes complexity and contradictions.
And I was like, we had a good flip back and forth. We were all jiving. We made the Rogansphere.
We did. Yeah.
We officially got the Rogansphere. We've been repping hard out there in the streets.
You should see us. We tell everyone.
I give my credits to go from the Bonfire, Legion of Skanks, and most notably, the Rogansphere.
The manosphere is a real subject.
Taken together, Hinchcliffe's remarks and broader commentary reflect 3 overlapping dynamics. 1, the Rogansphere as an identifiable network of comics, podcasts, and fans centered around Rogan's platform. 2, the tension between critics and insiders over whether this network is flourishing or faltering. And 3, the internal difficulties of managing growth, expectations, and artistic integrity in a cultural space that trades partly on authenticity, partly on performance persona. In summary, Tony Hinchcliffe's recent explosion at critics of the Rogansphere may be less about denial of issues and more about a defense of the value he sees in the network and the defense of its members. That said, his acknowledgement of internal strain suggests that, while he rejects the notion of collapse, he accepts the idea of challenge. The subreddit post shows that questioning from within the community isn't just tolerated, it's happening. As the Rogansphere evolves, the combined voices of hosts, insiders, and critics will shape its narrative far more than any one documentary might.